Hey guys, so I just finally picked up my copy of Far Cry 5 yesterday, and I pretty much played through the first 30 minutes of it, and it's actually a pretty fun game. I don't do a lot of game reviews or anything like that often, but seeing that this is a Far Cry game, which right now I consider one of my favorite franchises, um, I felt the need to pretty much make like a quick review about it. I was hoping that I could upload like some gameplay footage of me playing it on my PS4, but unfortunately I don't have the capability to do that. So instead, I'm just gonna have to do like a quick review on my first impressions of the game via this kind of format. So I've played Far Cry's 2, 3, 4, and 5 when they've come out. I've been a fan of this franchise since 2, back in, I want to say that was '08. So like for the past 10 years. I have I've never had, nor do I still have a desire to play Far Cry, any like the Far Cry 1 games. I really don't have a desire to play Far Cry Primal. Uh, some people said it was good, some people said it was bad. It just doesn't look very appealing to me. But to each their own. I still have yet to play Blood Dragon from Far Cry 3, which still looks pretty amazing, but hopefully I'll be able to get to that at some point. Um, this is definitely a Far Cry game, and I mean that in the sense of it has a lot of familiarities with like what you see in terms of objectives and how the game is played. I mean, again, it's the open world environment. It's you got your outposts to liberate from the enemies. You got that's pretty much the main focus of that. But it's kind of different in certain ways because in a couple of ways. I think with the gameplay, it's still taking me a while to get used to because there are new items, there are new ways of doing things. Like one thing that's different here is you really don't have to craft anything anymore from animal skins like you did in 3 and 4. Like in those previous titles, you had to pretty much hunt animals and use their skins to create like loot bags and wallets and basically any kind of survival gear. Whereas this one, it's not so much that you have to craft them yourself. It's like, for what I've seen so far, you just have to like buy them. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe later on in the game, I'll get to a point where you have to craft, but at least from the start, none of that. Which I'm kind of mixed about because I feel like it kind of takes away the survival aspect of it, but at the same time, I do kind of feel bad when I have to, you know, kill a tapir or kill a pig or a warthog or a deer and just like use its skin. But again, that's part of survival. Um, the the map kind of seems smaller when you look at the when you look at the like when you look at the whole map in the game. It kind of seems smaller than that of Far Cry 4 and 3. But when you're in the game, it kind of feels more expansive. It's kind of weird. Like I'm thinking about when I compare this map being set in fictional Hope County, Montana, and I'm comparing it to like maps of Rook Island in Far Cry 3 or Kirat in Far Cry 4, and I remember those kind of being at least by the time you finish the game way bigger than this one. But for some reason, when you're actually playing the game and when you're actually running around, it doesn't seem too small at all. Like it actually still has that sense of this is probably like one of the biggest like expansive maps. But I'm hoping that that feeling still carries on throughout the rest of the game. What else I need to talk? Oh, the villains in this one. So this one is a you're a like a junior deputy or a sheriff or something like that, and you have to help arrest this the leader of this cult that's taken over this entire this entire county, and things go bad. Now you got to start a resistance ever since you've been ambushed by them, and fight your way out as well. Because I mean, I feel like his presence is not as strong as from the previous Far Cry villains. Like I remember in 3 and 4, three you immediately see Voss's insanity. No, I shouldn't say insanity, because obviously I don't know what the definition of insanity is, but you at least get an idea that he is a completely psychotic. He's a psycho. Like you get a sense of Voss's psychoticness, and in 4 you immediately get a sense of Pagan Min's like madness. Like he's, and it's kind of hard to differentiate between the two. But honestly, everyone likes Voss. I kind of like Pagan Min more. Still saying I'm not saying Voss is bad or anything like that. He's a fantastic villain, but I kind of liked Pagan Min as a villain more. But those two compared to the villain in this one, Joseph Seed, so far playing this game, I really haven't gotten that kind of attachment that I've gotten to the other villains. Like, because usually that happens right off the bat, but in this one, yeah, you realize that he's a manipulative leader of a militaristic cult that's pretty much got a military that can be comparable to that of like ISIS almost, but it really hasn't struck on his madness hasn't struck on to me yet. As threatening as he is already in the game and stuff like that, it's not as memorable as when you first meet Pagan Min in his palace, or when you first meet Voss in the prison camp. But I'm hoping with time that would help too. That's pretty much all I have to. Oh, wait. No. I got one more thing. One thing I'd like to point out in this is the fact that this game, Ubisoft apparently is aware that a lot of people hated in Far Cry games the fact that you always had to climb radio towers or bell towers in the past 2 games, and they've made sure that you don't do that anymore. Because within the first 15 minutes, you'll get to a point where you have to climb a cell tower on an island, and you're being guided by an ally, and he's calling you on the radio, and he's like, "Now I know what you're thinking. No, you're not going to be doing this all the time. This is the only time I'm going to have you do this." A not so subtle reference to the previous experiences in the game. I never really had an issue with doing that, like all throughout the maps, but I can understand how other people kind of got frustrated with it. So I mean, yeah, instead of like opening up new areas in the map, I guess instead of doing that, it's through talking to other people and building up your resistance. And I think that's really what the main goal of this game is you build up a resistance to fight back. All in all, so far it's a fun game. I'm really liking where it's going, and I hope to. I'm hoping the fun factor is still going to at least be where it is right now, if not be kicked up a notch later on in the game. I mean, so far I'd recommend it, but I'm only like not even 5% of the way through the game yet. I've only had like a limited amount of time to play so far. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. That's my first impressions on Far Cry 5. Thanks for listening, and see ya.